My whole life I've avoided horror games, whether that being due to clunky controls, lack of interest, or just me being a little bitch. So if you know the premise of this YouTube series, yes, I've never played a Silent Hill game. Could this first entry create something meaningful, memorable, and menacing? Or is it a game that should stay in the past, silent amongst modern horror games of today? Well, there's only one way to find out. Come with me as I take a look at the first Silent Hill. Welcome to No-stalgia. Silent Hill is a game that on the surface may not have aged well. Bad character models, terrible voice acting, low draw distance. These are all things I should hate. However, this isn't the case. The character models look kinda creepy. The voice acting seems unnatural, almost in a way that makes people seem untrustworthy.
I knew you'd come. You want the girl, right?
The bad draw distance is masked by a thick fog that makes even the open areas feel claustrophobic. These seemingly big blemishes somehow enhance the uncomfortable atmosphere of the game. There's often a desire to make someone scared by making them jump, or by giving them something loud and scary to deal with. But that rarely affects me. Silent Hill is a game that uses subtle ways to get under your skin, and that can be achieved in just the first 5 minutes of the game. Harry Mason is outside searching for his daughter after crashing his car. The sound of the wind blowing and the snow falling with the thick fog creates an aura of coldness and unease. He sees his daughter in the distance, not talking but slowly walking just out of his reach. Children often represent excitement and innocence, so Cheryl's vacant expression as she's slowly walking away creates intrigue as well as a level of discomfort. She is soon completely out of sight, with an industrial sound that starts creeping in. You open a creaky fence to find a carcass on the floor that is indistinguishable. You are put into a series of fixed camera angles where you're positioned away from the direction that you need to head, creating fear of not knowing what's in front of you. As you get closer, the sound of a siren is added to the sounds of the wind and the industrial noises. The camera angles have become more frantic, moving around abnormally. The sounds are getting louder, the tight alleyways have gotten darker, requiring Harry to get out a match, adding to the tension of the scene. As you go around the corner, you see an overturned wheelchair, and you can hear the creaky sounds of the wheel as it's spinning. The sounds are getting pretty loud at this point, and a melody slowly starts creeping in. You start seeing bloody fences and corpses littering the ground, and when you see what appears to be a bandaged man tied down, another layer of the music is added, making up an inconsistent, hectic melody. These creatures attack you from nowhere, not too different in size from Harry's daughter. Your only instinct is to run. The music is getting louder and louder. You're hitting dead end after dead end, and then... You might be wondering why I've spent so long talking about the opening. And this is because it demonstrates the importance of a slow build-up. This could have easily opened with Harry waking up surrounded by blood in an alleyway, but the developers knew the importance of building tension. The world of Silent Hill is always uncomfortable, really giving off the feeling of being an outsider in this messed up town. But if you think a bit of fog and a few creatures is the worst of it, you have no idea. I knew there were going to be some monsters and some gore, but I was shocked when I got to the school. There are these creatures that look like children, littering the halls, and there are some really creepy moments like this. Yeah, no thank you. You'll be solving puzzles based on bloody notes, and you'll explore every single room, but with one door left to go through. What happens when you enter? You're back in the courtyard again, but something seems different. You are in the other world. A messed up manifestation of the school you were just in, but there's blood everywhere. Everything is rusty and metallic. The music and the sound has become more industrial and creepy. Even things that you recognise are warped and twisted. This game's leaning into the supernatural makes it so much more unsettling, as a lot of the things don't have to adhere to common logic. These are so grimy and gory that returning back to the real world, if you can even call it that, is less scary and more melancholy. You could interpret this as the main character getting less scared along with the player. The hospital later on is even more horrible. Seeing hospital beds, surgical equipment, and these chilling nurses. This is the peak of the horror, and unfortunately is as good as it gets up until the very end. There are linear areas such as sewers or some of the nightmare sections in town, though for me they never seem to capture the same level of discomfort as the school and the hospital. Navigating those areas were always really cool, searching all the rooms, finding items like ammo, keys, or even solving some brain-busting riddles. Now seriously, these were super fun to figure out, having me actually take notes. These items and riddles are often little references. These keys are a Wizard of Oz reference, and this riddle is an Alice in Wonderland reference. Curious that both of these stories are about little girls trapped in worlds different to their own. The plot of the game is very deep, engaging, and compelling. Abuse is a big theme in the game, whether that being Lisa exploited by her drug addiction, Alessa being bullied and abused by her mother and her classmates. This is all thought-provoking stuff. However, I didn't know most of this being the game. I mean, in fairness, neither did Harry.
Why are you doing this?
I was intrigued enough to do some digging and have the story explained to me, though how the story was conveyed wasn't my favourite. I praised Bioshock for its minimalist storytelling, but I feel even Bioshock gave me enough breadcrumbs that I wasn't forced to go fishing through audio logs. Certain moments would have hit a lot harder if there was a little more context. Of course there's the possibility that I wasn't paying attention because I was too busy shitting myself. The main thing that added to the spooks for me was the sound design. Sometimes there are really distorted sounds in the background. And other times there is just nothing but the sound of Harry's footsteps. As I'm walking around, it can be just as terrifying. Walking around can be clunky at times. The game has tank controls. It's manageable. I mean, it's not like they've put tank controls in a platformer, but I'm not going to pretend like I'm not used to the standard controls of today. The combat could have been better, that's for sure. Boss fights you can just shoot until they die, and there's no strategy in it. I think with the limitations of the console in mind, it would have been cool to see bosses be more like puzzles that you have to solve to defeat them. I think this could have been executed very well, as the puzzles that are already in the game are fantastic. There is a lock-on feature to guns, so fighting is never aggravating, it's just a little bit dull. The game does actually have multiple endings. Playing normally will get you the bad ending. However, if you do some digging around Silent Hill and perform particular tasks, you will get the best ending. I recommend you do this, as not only did it make me appreciate just how expansive the town was, but I also got a lot more lore to find out about. I do wish though that this was conveyed a bit better. I had to look up how to get the best ending, but it's still a great inclusion, adding replay value to an otherwise short game. Silent Hill genuinely surprised me. I honestly had really low hopes going in. Turns out, a game from 1999 can still instill fear and uneasiness in a new player. So if you haven't played the game, I implore you to give it a go. And from what I've heard, I've got even more to look forward to in a sequel. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch this. Your kind words are definitely what keeps me going. If you want to get your PlayStation 1 fix, I've covered Crash Bandicoot, Croc, and Metal Gear Solid. As for now, I'm gonna go and keep searching for the gold in the old.